Okay. As soon as I can see it, I will go live. All right, ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Parasocialdise cast with your hosts Enan J and Mappie Jones, my sister. Last week we didn't really go over why are we doing this. Why are we doing this, Maggie? What's the point of us even getting together here like this? Yeah. There you go. I feel like I heard a ding there for some reason. Yeah. Plus we could learn a thing or two, right? We aren't the luckiest in love thus far in our lives, right? We could do better. We're looking at this as kind of a ways to essentially get better at romance ourselves. No, no, maybe not. Are these the people we would? That Fair enough. Yeah, I don't necessarily know that there's a lot of role models here for us, especially when the majority of them are a decade younger than us. Nevertheless, we have entered week 2 of Parasocial Dice Popcast, and we are going to go over all the ins and outs about what happened on last night's episode, August 12th, and tonight's episode, August 13th. We got 4 hours of content to cover here. That's a lot of content. So I hope people can bear with us and get excited as we deconstruct it. So first things first, let's talk about the top of the episode yesterday, the rose pairings, and let's give on a scale of 1 to 10 how much confidence we have in each of these pairings, okay? So I'm going to hit you with the first one. Jim Halpert and Demi, also known as Derek and Demi. What are you giving them on a 1 to 10? A 3! Oh my goodness gracious. You're right. I am worried. Even though they are the established relationship, as people have been putting it, I'm a little worried that it is a little too friend zoney. I think you might be onto something there. But I have a little more faith. That's a good point. Essentially, the chick that Demi left home behind is her Roy, right? Roy from The Office, the big brutish guy who Jim had to essentially kick out of the picture in order to steal Jenna Fisher away. Beasley? I don't know if and I don't know if Demi's that much of a Beasley, even though she is fun. She is a lot more fun than a lot of the other characters, and that was especially highlighted with her her six toe hunt. Who has the 6 toes? Especially at the. I agree. I wish they didn't use it as a tail ender, but nevertheless, it was pretty hilarious. I'm not going to complain that it was there at all. I agree. Yeah, I soaked as much out of it as I possibly could, but I agree with you that last week was a little more poppin' than this week. I think it's because maybe I wasn't as enthralled with the newbies, with the maybe one exception. But before we get ahead of ourselves here, you gave them a 3. I'm gonna give them a solid 5 because I might see that they acknowledge the fact that they are each other's link to future episodes and future stipends and all that jazz, right? There's a reason for them to Demi and Halpert. There you go. So I don't necessarily feel like these two are the two actors of the season. I think that would go to maybe others, but I do think that they're savvy enough to acknowledge, maybe my dream person isn't here, but I still would like to stay on the show as long as possible. And you're fun to smooch. And now that we each know each other's circumstances, we can roll on. I just don't necessarily feel like Derek is going to, or either of them really are going to be looking at anybody else. So I feel like they're kind of focused in on each other. Did you see Derek flirting with anybody else? Demi certainly hasn't, has she? Previewing Demi dominated for next season? What does that mean? Oh, I see how it is. Okay, so you got that inside scoop. I'm glad you're here to really give us the lowdown, that extra sensory stuff. All I saw in terms of the parasocial social media stuff is that Clay doesn't seem to have connected with anyone because I saw him like asking girls for to buy him shots on Twitter or something like that. We'll get to that later though. Let's go to the next pairing, Wills and Katie. Why did he pick her? Why did he pick her to begin with? Katie. He gave her the rose. Ooh. From That was a tragedy. Before we even dive into what an uncomfortable, maybe the cringiest moment of the entire episode, that um, you brought up an interesting point. Do you feel like if you get rejected on Bachelor in Paradise, that you're kind of like damaged goods? Has anybody gone for someone else in previous seasons only to end up with somebody legit? Or once you kind of like get that first strike, are you kind of screwed in the game? Could you move your camera too to the right? You're out of the frame. You're out of the frame. There you go. That's better. That's better. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. That's better. Well, I guess I don't mean like fully rejected. I mean you're swinging for, as in the case with Will's going for Hannah, then to try and switch up his game and go for Katie afterwards. We saw something kind of similar happen with Jordan tonight, swinging a miss with Hannah, and now he's kind of picking his second sloppy seconds with Nicole. Right? Is that a viable plan? I feel like, from what I'm seeing, at least in this season, it. No, how did it go? Give me a recap. Mm-hmm. Plus, as much as I felt like Will's speech to Katie was heartfelt, and it really kind of destroyed her to have to let him down, he did drop pretty severe negs throughout it, I felt like. He said some mean things like, I've seen you having struggles and stuff within it. He wasn't necessarily big upping her throughout the entirety of his wooing techniques, I felt like. He kind of put her down a little bit within it. Um, but I think that's interesting. I think all those guys were gonna try and put their stamp on Hannah. See which one stuck, which one didn't wash off. Because yeah, right. She's certainly that which is hungered for. True, and we'll get to that. But let's continue going through. What would you say then? Will's and Katie's. We got zeros across the board, right? That was done. Let's move on then to JPJ and Onyeka. A little bit awkward tonight. That dynamic has changed, even though I wasn't too confident about it to begin with. Uh, did you see that smile she gave Mike? Do you see me? Am I seeable? That was super awkward. Oh, that may be the second cringiest moment of the night. But that being said, that's true. Who did she hit it off with tonight, though? She did hit it off with somebody tonight. Got denied by Mike. I'm gonna look it back up. Maybe you're right. Jordan. Okay. All right. Fair enough. It's his beach after all. This is Jordan's beach. Everyone else just lives there. He's like the Irish guy from Braveheart. This is my island. This is my beach. So what are we giving JPG and Anyaka? Is officially a zero? Zero across the boards. Some sad roses to start then. Okay, we're gonna go on to one that is making me feel a little anxious just even bringing them up. Cam and Kaylin. Ay, 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 ay. That poor guy. I know everyone thinks he's a doofus, a nerd, or whatever. But and I want to just backtrack here. I don't think you are bad at love. You're better at love than I am. You've been engaged. You've been out there in the world. You've put your heart out there in a way that I'm allergic to. So don't get me wrong. I'm saying we watch this show because maybe you're right. Maybe that's all we need. Maybe we need a little just vicarious romance to tide us over. I sound like Tommy from Big Brother now. So okay, so at least for tonight it is. Dylan and Hannah. Oh my god. He will be fine, but I am going to say the opposite of what you just said. He needs to raise his standards. Cam is too much of a romantic, too much of a big heart. He's too smart for most of these girls on the show. He shouldn't be lusting after girls that want to be on romantic reality shows probably. You're absolutely right. He's not suited for this show. He would be better on a different sort of competition reality show because he does wear his heart on his sleeve to a fault. But I honestly think he's getting torn to shred, and you're absolutely right. The producers do not help it when they show him pining away at the rocks. Oh, look at him up there. Can you see? I feel like a weatherman. Where is he? Up here? Oh, look at him just swing. Poor Kim and Will, our two dejects right up here at the top. I still like them both. By grandma's, right, with that white hair? Because he clearly wants to look 30 years older than he actually is with that white hair of his. Absolutely his fatal flaw is that stupid frosted tips. Whatever he's doing with that. Not working for me. Not working. I'm gonna need you to do a tweet roundup for us next week. Then, come ready to share the hottest tweets of the week, the most profound ones. Oh, an Insta. Okay, whatever it is, whatever it is. Before we talk about Dylan, Hannah, Blake, and Taisha, let's skip a let's skip ahead because this one kind of even like went so fast I missed it. I had to ask you before the show. Sydney and Kevin, anything going on there? Who's going for Sydney now? Who's Kevin going for? Okay. And who did Mike give his rose to? Because I don't even really have any notes about him. I'm not seeing here. Oh, that's right. My bad. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's right. That's right. Honestly, I feel like if Cam had a shot with anybody, it would have been Sydney. They seem like they're on the same wavelength and intelligence length. They seem like the two smartest on each respective gender tribe. Am I crazy? Who, who's... Okay, okay. All right, is it more pretentious than actually, like, legit smart? Is that what you're telling me? Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. How are we feeling about Chris and Christina after we saw Chris and Katie's interaction tonight? Chris and Christina, are they dead? Where are we at? Who? Who would it be? Who's Christina going to give a rose to? She's safe. But you're right, I did not see any sort of connection with her and anybody else. Mm-hmm. Who does Nicole like better? Where's Clay and Nicole on your 1 to 10? More aggressive. She said it, right? More aggressive. Oh, so Clay is kind of doomed, is what you're telling me. But to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if they would make him the next Bachelor because I find Clay very likable as a dude, but as a girl, I would find his voice such a whiny bitch voice. I feel like there is nothing masculine about his vocal output, even though he kind of fronts with all this beefcake. Uh, Clay, I kind of see where she's come up from with the aggression. Let's go into the deep end here though, because we're going to talk more about aggression. Is Hannah hung up on Blake because he is more aggressive? Because the instance that you just discussed between Clay and Nicole and Christian, ultimately, she stayed with Clay, the more likable guy, the less aggressive guy. But Hannah ended up staying with Blake, who was the more aggressive guy in that context. Even though Dylan went up, he still slunk away. He slunk away. How much? Okay, what are we giving? 1 to 10. Hannah Dylan, Hannah Blake. Is that smart? Or is it the Birmingham Trip Alliance? Is it that they met and were like, hey, here's the game plan. Let's do this. Let's get somebody else to give us the roses for the first round. So we move on to the next round and then start picking each other. You know, to get more airtime, to juice up the wheels for them to become the next Bachelor or Bachelorette. In that first episode, don't you want to be really the most pronounced? And we talked about it last week. It was the Blake show last week, right? And the Hannah show to a relative degree. Do you think there's a possibility that they schemed? I don't think Blake or Hannah are open to love. I don't think Blake or Hannah are going to get the person that they're going to be with the rest of their life from a TV show. Nope. That's what I'm getting. I feel like they are production partners right now from what I'm seeing. And I totally see Hannah G being a bachelor in the future or bachelorette in the future. But I feel like now that Blake has literally, I think Hannah's an easy sell as a bachelorette. Blake is a really hard sell for producers just because he's dipped his toes in all the pools, as it is put. Ouch. What do you think about that trip, though? 1 week before Paradise? So he's at Coachella, not Coachella, Stagecoach. Is Hannah right in calling Tasha a mean girl? Did Tasha mean girl her, or was she valid in her airing her grievances? Okay. Hmm. Fair enough. And to go back to the rankings of those two, I think based on this GIF alone, right here, right, this is Hannah's reaction to Dylan when he comes up and asks her, "Can I have 5 minutes with you?" 5 minutes is all I'm asking, and then you can hang out with the bro dog again. 5 minutes. Eye contact, the look away. I don't know if you've seen that little meme with like a little monkey puppet where he looks at you and he looks away, sort of thing. Like it's like, catch under the subtext here, Dylan. You done? No, that's what I'm getting from that GIF right there. Who? Which ones? Now you got me confused. Dylan and Hannah rolling the sand gross? There you go. Okay. Yeah. That does make the most sense. From what I saw, from body language, from the kisses last week, just to me, that's where the chemistry is. Dylan, like Clay, is too passive. These girls want the alpha dongs on the show. You know what I mean? They're not looking for these guys at 24 that are looking forever. Hard to get, I'll agree with you. Hard to get, I'll agree with you. I don't necessarily feel like abusive guys are something everyone is attracted to. Well, I feel Blake is a little abusive. Blake is a little abusive, dipping his toes everywhere and then expecting these girls to not give a shit. That's kind of emotionally abusive behavior between how many people that he's messing with. Um, Fair, and I agree with you. I agree with you that those guys probably have been dipping their toes all over the place. Nevertheless, I don't like to think of the people that get cast on Bachelor in Paradise or Bachelor or Bachelorette are a microcosm of the world. Because to me, the people that I like the most were out. Let's talk about the three girls that got kicked out really quick here. Oh, poor Annalise, stabbed in the gut by Chris. How did you feel about it? Did she have it coming? I'm not gonna miss her. I found her a little bland, a little plain Jane-ish for me. Speaking of which, you know who's not a plain Jane? A Jane. Oh, I miss her already. That and Bibiana, both of them going. I tell you what, terrible, terrible news across the board. I found them the spiciest, the most entertaining, the most essentially dynamic of the girls, with the exception of maybe Sydney. Sydney is growing on me, but I don't feel like a lot of these other girls have stories. Ay, ay, ay. It's probably a good thing that I haven't gotten married yet because you're gonna hate whatever eyebrow mastress I end up with. Uh, Touche, old bean. I could see that. I don't necessarily feel like she has the sort of like feminine wiles and charms that are necessary for the show, for her to last long on the show. I do see her as more of a confidant than anybody that's going to bring any sort of drama. She's somebody. So just to seal the deal on this, to put the last nail in the coffin here, will we ever see Annalise, Jane, or Bibiana in Bachelor Nation again? So you're telling me Bibiana's going to be on 7 or 8? BIP? Oh. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I'm more invested when there is a prize on the line, when there's a more diverse cast, both in terms of age. You know what? The diversity in terms of race and Bachelor is pretty good. I'm actually impressed with how they're doing in terms of race and culture diversity with it. And I can't complain about that. But in terms of age, I mean, that's the nature of the show. But I love seeing the perspective of those younger and older than me and my age. Nevertheless, we've talked about the dead. Let's talk about those reborn. First one to enter. Episode last night was Jordan. How you feeling about Jordan? What are his chances like? Did he come in just too big? Was it too obnoxious? Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I think he's definitely very entertaining, super bombastic. While I might not agree with all of the things that he says, like, oh, so they're going to call me daddy by the end of it and stuff like that, he definitely got that condescension going on. I love that he stood up to Blake. I love that he took him aside, even though it was like super arrogant. Was like, you're fucking up my show, dude. And what actually won me over more than anything with Jordan is that it sounds like he cares even as much as somebody's looks what their laugh sounds like. That to me was like, shit, dude. That makes a lot of sense. A laugh is such a big part of a relationship that, like, I saw his brain working in a different way than I've seen the other guy's brain. So I did appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you actually bring me to another aspect of, I believe it was last night. Yeah, it was last night's. Jordan asked Hannah on the date, and he got turned down. Was that the right decision? Should have said no right from the beginning? Was it even more organic? Did you kind of feel for her more that she said yes and then thought it through? On the spot. On the spot is a good way to put it, and it flashes me back to the awkward moment between Dylan, Blake, and Hannah at the water, where Dylan approaches, and ultimately, when I was first writing notes, and certainly I guess it's a different context now that we know that they're rolling around and stuff in the future, but I almost was like, maybe Hannah's just scared of Blake, scared to turn him down. Maybe she thinks he's dangerous. He flew to Birmingham. That can be considered romantic or psychotic. We do have Dylan screaming, "You're a psycho!" as he was walking back to the cabana. So, I mean, probably not since we see them get it on down the line, but I was wondering, I wonder if she's just like not trying to piss off Blake more than anything. But probably not. Probably not at this point. You know, before we drop Jordan, I want you to tell me about the golden underwear stuff because I didn't see that season. So he came in big in the last time too. What was that golden underwear flashback? Mm. Oh wow. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's a way to be remembered. I will give him that. He's certainly memorable. And good words, as he said when he was sitting with, I think it was Nicole, it might have been Hannah, but when he first showed up and he took them aside and he's like, "I like words. I like to put words together in a fun way." He does have the capacity to put together words in a fun way. We've seen it. I'm with you on that. Let's talk about his first date with Nicole then. So Hannah changes her mind. He's about to put on his mustard shorts, and here she comes. "I've changed my mind." So he has to run over to Nicole. Should Nicole have said yes? What happens if she says no? Where does he go then? What happens if Nicole had said no? Does that happen? No shit. Right. Okay. I do feel like I think Nicole and he had a really good date, partly because of the nature of the date. But I do feel like Nicole and Christian had a much more strong chemistry, and I feel like Nicole's chemistry is the most profound with Christian from what I've seen out of everybody. But I want to talk about that date a little bit more because while I felt like Nicole and he were having a good rapport, I felt like Jorge laid it down during that. Jorge stole that date's thunder, if you ask me. Here he is. Can you see this? I'm not sure if you can see the GIF down here. It might be blocked, but I gotta go. Oh. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I'm still talking about the Jordan date. My bad. Um, but during that Jordan date, I felt like Jorge was the most entertaining part about it. And certainly, as you can see here, this one that I'm blocking right now, what did Jorge tell them about that spot? Oh my gosh, that was such a hilarious moment. You could see, look at this hilarious gift where he's like, my virginity. They laugh at him, and then he's kind of like offended a little bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is that too much TMI? TMI? Okay, I know you didn't want me to bring it up, but the duck lips on the zip lining. What is she doing with that duck lip zip line? So you don't think it was a conscious duck lip? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. She did say two interesting things about Jordan when we were on that date, and ultimately they involved. I could almost see him being a good partner, and he almost came off like a normal guy. Did he really come off that ridiculous in his first season? Okay. I could see that. He's milking it. He's taking advantage of it while he can. I don't blame him, right? As you know, models only have so long on that trajectory, trajectory. Then things get a little. I could see that. Let's talk about Mike. Mike arrives. Mike arrives with the wrinkliest shirt I've ever seen somebody arrive with. I like the color, but was I the only one that saw those wrinkles? No, 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 no. But the wrinkly, I mean, it's not much of a gift to see a wrinkly shirt. The back was like atrocious. The bottom half of the front was ridiculous too. I didn't feel like I saw Harrison be like, come on, man. You just roll out of bed or something? Um, that being said, compared to Jordan's entry, very, very different entrance styles. And while I will say I end up liking Jordan more than. Yes, I do. Let's leave it at that. I know exactly what it means. Um, why I sort of liked him until he went on that date with Caitlyn, because that's where I kind of. Well, I feel like Kalen brings the worst out of people from what I've seen. But I'm trying to big up him to begin with because when he came down, he just essentially said like, "What's up to everyone?" versus like schmoozy, and just like laughed. You could tell he was genuinely happy to be there in a way that a lot of the other dudes weren't. I feel like he had the best entrance with a really genuine laugh. He just reminded me of, I don't know, like a TV dad or something in that moment. It's like you want to be around him. Um, I see. Okay, so an insider versus an outsider. But what is the story between him and Cam? I guess I was feeling so bad for Cam all night when Cam started being like, "Oh my God, this guy's gonna steal my girlfriend." After that ridiculous poem. Oh, we saw two poets tonight. Two poets in action. One did it right, one did it wrong. And that's the right way to do it. If you're wooing a girl to begin with, you don't give her something about her when you've known her for 3 days and expect that me saying, I'm going to protect you forever and have known you for 3 days. JPJ did the right thing. You bust out the old boy shaky spear and you lay it down thick. You're like, okay, they're both 14 or 13. They're both super young. I think they're both the same age. Maybe, I don't know. That to me is the smart thing to do, to demonstrate an effort that is not absurd based on how long you've met this person. It's like, hey, I like you, I care about you, let me show you how, not let me pour my heart out to you immediately. That's not how you attract a girl. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like he's a lost cause in this group. I feel like he went for the only one he had a chance with in terms of looks, and I know this is getting a little too subjective when we sound like Donald J. Trump and who's the numbers, but to me, Kaylin is the least attractive of the girls, probably. I don't necessarily agree with you in terms of I feel like that's the one he should have swung for because she has said the least. That's actually a note that I made. I feel like she had a lot to say when she was bitching about Blake and talking about Stagecoach, but then she really lost me on the mic date because she was a parrot. She didn't say anything of note that was OG. I she's kind of lost me. I'm not in on Kaylin. I know like the Twitterverse and Bachelor Nation kind of hate her now too, but I had given her the benefit of the doubt last week because she had been wronged. But this week I'm seeing that, you know what? How much stock do you put into the power of a date As I noted, I felt like that zipline date was awesome, but it's probably more conducive to buddies hanging out. But I did feel like the date between Mike and Kaylin was romantic enough that maybe they didn't need to have to say anything and they could just get lost in each other's eyes and laugh at the mariachi band. Mm-hmm. So what's missing? Because that's something Dylan brought up tonight. I feel like I'm missing something. What was he missing? Because from my perspective, Mike seems like he has that emotional intelligence. Seems like he has a social intelligence, but haven't heard him say anything smart, like academically or. Oh, did I misinterpret that? I see. Okay. But ultimately, I think he is fundamentally missing something, though. For Hannah, I feel like Blake has that something that Dylan doesn't have. He is missing something on multiple levels from what I've seen. I don't feel like he's got that chutzpah. I don't think Blake is missing something in Hannah's eyes. I think Dylan is missing something in her eyes. I could see that. I think you're right. I think he's not missing that thing that she's looking for. And we've hit an hour here, which is very exciting, but we also want to be conscious now of trying to probably wrap it up in the next 10, 15. But we did want to talk about archetypes. We'll talk about the female archetypes the next time around, but let's talk about these guys that are left since they're the one in the weakened position. They're the ones that are going to be hungry for the roses. When you think about the producers and the casting agents putting together these guys, I kind of thought about, I want your help with the new ones, but Blake is the man whore, right? He is the super man whore character. Am I crazy? What else would you call him based on these first four episodes? What is his archetype? Two nights in a row, though. There's one thing between keeping your eyes open and like 2 nights in a row, two different people that know each other. I don't know. Maybe am I too judgmental? Oh, yeah. I would be scared. I think he's a schemer. I think he's a man whore. I cannot defend this gentleman, even because he's not a gentleman. But touche. This is a therapeutic podcast, pretty much. Um, okay, Jordan. He's the megalo. I love him, but he's the megalomaniac. He is even more self-consumed in a way that you kind of cut Blake some slack. I don't think he's necessarily conscious of what he is in a way that I do think Jordan is conscious of what he is. He is the megalomaniac that is there. Could be. Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Derek is my favorite. Derek is the strong silent type in terms of the guys. I mean, I feel for Cam, but in terms of who I could, you said you could imagine being friends with Bibiana. I can imagine being friends with Derek of all the guys. He seems the chillest. He listens to people and he doesn't say shit that doesn't need to be said, which I appreciate. Strong silent, you with me on that? Okay, but you love your boy Dylan, and I gotta say, he is like the Romeo. You're absolutely right, but that means he's doomed. He's like the Lancelot. He's the most capable of romance, but it's almost too much for the world. It's gonna have unrealistic expectations forever, sort of thing. You know what I mean? No one's ever gonna live up to what he is looking for because it's just not realistic. Is he the Romeo, the Lancelot to you? Because that's what he is to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think he's meant along for this world. Cam, we both agree, overthinker, just not suited for this at all. Clay, Clay and Mike are kind of comparable to me in that I feel like they're two different archetypes of the jock. One is the likable jock, right? Uh, well, okay, fair. It's Clay. Clay to me is the likable jock. Like I don't. The lovable dummy. Is he the lovable dummy or do I misread him? He seems like the lovable dummy, Mike. Really? I did not get that. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with him too. He's not. He doesn't have the it factor to me, even though he seems really nice. To be honest with you, Dean and Christian, I didn't really like either one of them that much. Am I missing something there? I didn't give them archetypes. What would you say they are, since you know them better? Okay, I can understand that because he seemed like such a jerk right off the bat talking about the shoes somebody wore, and he says, "Go buy yourself some." Espadrilles? What the hell are espadrilles? I have no idea. Oh, my bad. That was Jordan? I didn't like that either. Why are you talking about somebody's shoes like that? That seems like a low blow. That was Jordan that said that? My bad. I thought Christian said that. Okay. Yeah. I see. Okay. It was a callback. What do you feel about Dean's stash? What do you feel about the fact that he lives in a van? What do you feel about his national trip tour? And that he's saving money on rent, as Demi said. He spent a lot of money on gas, right? Oh, wow. Okay, here's my question for you. Do you actually think that they're making money off of the show? Do you have any knowledge of the stipend that they get, the weekly stipend for lasting? Mm-hmm. Okay. To keep the ring. Okay, because just from my experience with Big Brother, I feel like the people that don't make it to that end are maybe getting 1,000 a week. I feel like if he is making money off of it, he's making it through like the Insta posts or any sort of like promotional stuff that he can get afterwards, and maybe if he lives in a van, he's got no Wi-Fi, right? Does he pull it off? It does set him apart. I will give him that. I don't know. That's not my favorite. Kind of makes it hard to look at him as a dude. So just the final notes. Anything else? Is Katie absolutely nuts? Is she nutball, or what's the story with Katie? What was that reaction about? Is she medicated? What's going on there? She seemed starkly different than I believe it was when was Kaylin talking to her afterwards. Somebody was talking to, or no, it was Hannah or Demi. Maybe it was Demi. Demi was sharing with her. No, it's actually the first 15 minutes. I think you might have missed that. Demi was talking to Katie about the fact that she was seeing a girl on the outside, and I was kind of confused because it was all, is she the person you talk to kind of like hash through stuff because she seems so irrational with Will's, unable to really articulate what she should have said, and then when she ended up saying it, it just came off kind of mean. She was like, "This ain't gonna happen." You know what I mean? When she's all like, "I like you, I like you, I hate you," felt weird. Okay. that was not proper at all. So very last thing we'll discuss. Who do you think has the sixth toe? Toe! Who's dipping 6 toes in and not 5? Who's got that sixth toe? Who's the mutant? Right. Do you think Tasha was right in laughing at him when Blake lost his toenail? He had it coming, right? Fair enough. Well, it was another exciting week 2 of Bachelor in Paradise, and us here with the Parasocialdise Popcast, me, Enan J, and Magpie Jones. Magpie, you got anything you want to promote this week? And Blue Apron, right? Blue Apron always. Yikes, that's not good to hear. We got the recession afoot, if you ask Mr. Marr. But you're going to be here next week with a tweet rundown, right? That is your homework for the week, is to get a little Insta rundown. And we'll be here again 1 week from today, April, where am I? Who am I? August 20th, 2019 for week 3 of the Parasocialdise. We want to thank you all for watching, and until next time, get affected.